Uh, Turns out Yang Gang got screwed at the Iowa caucuses too. Hey, Yang Gang, welcome to the party. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa SuperChats. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. I just want to do a quick report on the Yang Gang situation in the Iowa caucuses. Now, a lot of people think that the rigging has been limited to some coin flipping and the Iowa caucus app that, of course, was paid for essentially and is owned, the proprietary rights are owned by Pete Buttigieg. But I also think it's important to examine the process and the procedures. That is another way that the Iowa caucuses have been rigged, not only against Bernie Sanders, but people in the past. This time, the Yang Gang has a story they want to tell. Now, this is from William Lex Ham, who was a caucus goer in Iowa, and this was the story that he had to tell. There was no formal start to this process, no 1 minute speech that you're supposed to give. That's the whole point of a caucus. You got to convince other people to caucus with you. We were sitting at our corners, and it was said out loud to find your candidates. Okay, cool. Then they started to distribute the slips for our first and second candidate choices. That's pretty normal. They never even announced the numbers for the first alignment. That is not okay. Okay? They never even announced the numbers for the first alignment. I can't show y'all this is in the DM, so I'm not going to bring my DM up on the screen. But then he goes on to say, less than 10 minutes later, they just moved on to the second alignment without announcing the numbers for the first alignment. And then they rushed them throughout the entire process. Now, he said that the word alignment was actually never used. That's not okay either. Nor were there any terms used to indicate a first round or a second round. He said he made some noise. Then he called the hotline. By the time a representative picked up, it was all over. What a surprise. The hotline wasn't really all that hot, was it? Now, in that county, there was another situation where a Yang Gang precinct captain, or at least they thought they were going to be a precinct captain, they were actually told that they couldn't be a precinct captain, that they were disqualified from being a precinct captain. There was another situation reported to me that another precinct captain who was supposed to be a precinct captain was disqualified for being a precinct captain because they were from out of state. There is no rule in the Iowa caucuses that say you cannot be a precinct captain if you're from out of the state. That you can't vote in the Iowa caucuses, but you can still be a precinct captain. So not only are we seeing Bernie screwed, now we have to kind of wonder, well, what happened to Yang and Tulsi's supporters that may have been there? Although they did not do as well as the top tier candidates, and I think that they even kind of expected that to a degree, you do have to wonder, are they getting screwed by this process too? Because now you have faulty results being reported, and on top of that, people are literally being captains are being turned away. So they can't even educate people, their supporters, or the supporters of their candidate, on the caucus procedures. They can't record results. The official results. They can't provide a backup to the campaign, field results. All right? This is unacceptable. As we are witnessing right now, if it can happen to Andrew Yang and his supporters, the Bernie Sanders can have the world, he can be the world's biggest losers in coin flips. That's not his thing. Get my point? Now, I would like to see Andrew Yang stop legitimizing this race, because he has been pretty positive about the Iowa caucus, hasn't said much about the rigging, and that's not really Andrew Yang's style. Usually, Andrew Yang, he calls out the nonsense, usually. And I'm just going to say at this juncture, yeah, you may have done a little bit better than you thought you did, but what if you did even better than that and you don't know it? What if you did hit a 15% threshold all over the state and you didn't know? There are supporters that are claiming that they were turned away at the door too. What if you did better and you don't even know? That is why I don't believe Andrew Yang should be pretending like nothing is happening when his supporters, these are his people coming out, reaching out to us, telling us this process was not legitimate. When you call a hotline and you're trying to talk about, the procedures not being followed, even if it's incompetence at the bare minimum, which I don't believe it was. I believe it was nefarious. I believe it was done on purpose. But when you call a hotline and then you don't, once that decision is made, hey, I'm going to call a hotline to figure it out. The process should have been stopped, but it wasn't. Those results are tabulated. Those Yang Gang supporters would not ever, the ones that I'm sure, have put in a lot of work for their candidate in Iowa, a lot of labor power, a lot of money into their candidate in Iowa. Those Yang supporters did not get to have their voices heard. That is absolutely unacceptable. That is absolutely undemocratic, and we should not stand for it. If you were calling it out for Bernie Sanders, if you were, you're planning on calling it out for Tulsi Gabbard, you better call it out for this too. You better be just as mad as this as you are at the coin flips. You better be just as mad as this as you are about the apps. Because if one voice can be silenced, all of us can be silenced. And that's a fact. Thank you all for tuning into that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Make sure you follow us on ROKFIN, ROKFIN.com/Niko. The link is in the description below. Make sure that you like this video, share this video, leave a comment if you're coming after. But more than anything else, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the ROKFIN app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.